A Fox News alert. Veteran TV journalist Charlie Rose fired by CBS News and just now by PBS, one day after stunning allegations of sexual misconduct. Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, and this is the Daily Briefing. Charlie Rose out at CBS News after the Washington Post reported 8 women accused him of unwanted sexual advances. This after Variety reported that the New York Times has suspended White House correspondent Glenn Thrush after accusations by 4 women. BuzzFeed is reporting Michigan Congressman John Conyers secretly settled a wrongful termination complaint by a former staffer who says she was fired for refusing his sexual advances. The New York Post revealing pictures showing Senator Al Franken groping Arianna Huffington during a photo shoot. And AL.com following the latest on Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore, who is vowing to, quote, never give up as he faces sexual misconduct allegations by at least 9 women. Peter Ducey is live in Washington. Peter, what's the latest word from Congressman John Conyers?
Dana, Conyers says that he denied sexual harassment when he was accused 2 years ago, and he denies it now. But he no longer denies that his office made a settlement, which BuzzFeed reports was $27,000. Conyers says this, quote, the resolution was not for millions of dollars, but rather for an amount that equated to a reasonable severance payment. There are statutory requirements of confidentiality that apply to both the employee and me regarding the matter. To the extent the House determines to look further at these issues, I will fully cooperate with an investigation. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan says the Conyers report is troubling, and for her part, the House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi was asked if she knew that Conyers paid out a sexual harassment settlement to a staffer, and she said this, no. The current process includes the signing of non-disclosure agreements by the parties involved. Congresswoman Jackie Speer has introduced legislation that will provide much-needed transparency on these agreements and make other critical reforms. I strongly support her efforts. The Congressional Office of Compliance revealed today it's paid $17 million taxpayer dollars from an account at the Treasury to settle 264 complaints over the last 20 years for sexual harassment and other office-related grievances. Dana.
So, Peter, has anyone seen or heard from Senator Al Franken since he apologized for allegations of sexual misconduct that he admitted happened?
No, Franken is apparently staying with his daughter here in D.C. as most of his congressional colleagues have returned to their home districts for the holiday. Franken, though, did get a supportive letter signed by 36 former SNL staffers saying that he never mistreated them. But again, Franken hasn't actually spoken on camera about the accusations of wrongdoing against him, and neither has Roy Moore. But that Alabama Senate hopeful issued another defiant statement denying all accusations against him, and that's as the Democrat in the race down in Alabama, Doug Jones, is out with a new campaign ad spotlighting a statement by Ivanka Trump that she thinks there's a special place in hell for people who prey on children. Dana.
All right, Peter Ducey, thank you so much. So work is underway right now to reform an archaic system of dealing with sexual misconduct allegations on Capitol Hill. Currently, somebody who files a complaint must do so within 180 days of the incident. That triggers a 30-day period that involves counseling for the accuser and legal advice. After that, the accuser must go through mediation with the employing officer. That typically also lasts 30 days. Now, if mediation fails, an accuser can then file a civil suit, but only after another 30-day cooling-off period, making the process frustratingly slow and all done in secret. My next guest is drafting a bill to change this process. Joining me now is Virginia Congresswoman Barbara Comstock. This is quite a development. I wouldn't call it necessarily a frenzy or a panic, but it certainly is a moment of reflection, at the very least, on Capitol Hill. You want to actually introduce legislation to change it. What do you want to do with your bill?
Yeah. Well, we are working with Congresswoman Jackie Speer and my colleague Bradley Byrne, who is a former labor lawyer in a past life, and we had hearings in the House Administration Committee, where I serve on, where we are really trying to get more transparency in the process. We are not going to allow any funds to be used for members to pay for harassment. We are going to have mandatory training. In fact, the Speaker has already said that that is a mandate, so that is in place, but we need to upgrade those policies. They need to be uniform the way they are in the private sector. And then we also need to reform this process that you just outlined. We need to have something like an ombudsman or a victims council so that they can come forward and have protection and they have their own representation. So we are looking through all of these and seeing how we can quickly put legislation and policies in place. And let me just give you one example that really is outrageous that it's not the policy yet, is that a member of Congress, it is not against House policies or any of the rules of conduct to have a sexual relationship with a staffer or even an intern. That's something that we are going to change, that's been recommended that we can change in our policies. And we're going to continue to have hearings on best workplace policies. The corporate world has been doing this for decades. This is when people say, that was a different time. I can tell you, I've talked to HR officials who are much older than I who tell me that they were firing people in the 70s and 80s. So we really need to update this. This was put in place back after the Packwood sexual harassment allegations in the 90s, and it's just not up to date with where the rest of the workplace is.
One thing I was thinking about is this idea of like the settlements, the secret settlements, and taxpayers thinking, well, hold on a second. How can that money that is actually taxpayer dollars be used to provide for settlements, which means that no one will ever know what ever happened and that money is being misused? And so someone might say, well, it's just $27,000. But if you remember, also in the 90s, people got pretty mad about, a $900 toilet seat paid for by the Pentagon.
Exactly.
Is this something that you think that you could at least retroactively look at, or would it all have to be prospective in terms of the money that was paid and who had to do those settlements?
Well, that's what we're looking at that now. We are going to have, hearings and more. Actually, I think we set up with a number of the members a briefing with the office on how that is operating. I don't think there's no cases that I'm aware. I've been told there aren't any cases in the pipeline right now, but I have called for having an immediate freeze of nothing going forward, and then let's look backwards to see what money has been spent and by whom. But I think we also need to really put out the message to women, and let's make clear that it is largely women who are the victims, not that there can't be men or other situations, but it is largely young women and, well, women of all ages who are victims. And we need to say there's zero tolerance and that we are going to put policies in place where they can have an environment where they can thrive, a healthy, work environment, and that's good for everybody. And I'm happy that my male colleagues on a female on a bipartisan basis are saying we want to do, some good, updated policies. Tough. We don't want to tolerate any of this. They've got daughters and everyone in the workplace, but even if you don't have a daughter, this is about basic decency and being able to be in the workplace free of sexual harassment. It's so demeaning.
Could I ask you one last question before I let you go, which is, because your bill will take a while to get through, let's just say there's young women there right now who feel like, wow, I have 180 days, I didn't even know that. Maybe they feel like they want to come forward, but your new process wouldn't have been law yet. Young women would look up to members of Congress like yourself. What would you tell them today that they should do if they're going through that right now?
Well, yeah, when we do want to change that because that's too long, and even in some cases where it's criminal, they need to have a victims council so they can go forward and, if they have to deal with any kind of criminal charges, if it's an assault or any kind of sexual violence. So I would tell them to, there are whistleblower protections so people can come forward to a trusted source where, within the government or a friend, there's counsel, out at different groups. But I think we want women to feel comfortable coming forward, and then we do also want to protect everyone's rights too. And the EEOC has policies in place that Congressman Byrne, who had done a lot of these cases. I mean, he had gone, years ago, he had been going into boardrooms and saying, you have to fire a CEO who was inappropriate with a 22-year-old, and they would do it. This has been going on, so we need to get that. The EEOC has a lot of those guidelines that provide fairness on both sides, but also make clear that there's zero tolerance.
All right. Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Fox News alert, the U.S. announcing new sanctions to further isolate North Korea and disrupt funding for the rogue regime's nuclear weapons program. Kevin Corke is live at the White House. The Treasury Department announcing this just moments ago. Kevin.
Yeah, you're right on the money there, Dana. 1 individual, 13 entities, and 20 vessels. I think that's important as the U.S. continues to attempt to disrupt North Korea's illicit funding of its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. The Treasury announcing these sanctions today. They say they target third country persons with long-standing commercial ties to the North, as well as transportation networks that help the North Koreans facilitate revenue generation and operations. By the way, it includes 3 Chinese entities, which are said to have exported about $650 million in goods to the North. We'll keep an eye on this story as it continues to develop. Again, as you pointed out, that was just announced by the Treasury Department, Dana.
Also, earlier today, I believe there was a phone call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. What do you know about that?
Well, listen, it lasted a little longer than I think most people expected, lasting about an hour. And in addition to North Korea and Ukraine, which doesn't come as a surprise, the 2 men would talk about that. We also know that the 2 men spent a great deal of time talking about what to do about the ongoing crisis in Syria and a possible pathway forward for Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian regime. Now, for the folks at home that don't sort of play the inside baseball inside Washington, here's what I can tell you. The Russians want Assad to stay in power, or at the very least, they'd like to craft a transition that would enable Moscow to have a hand in securing a pro-Russia leader should he step down. Now, of course, as soon as we hear from the White House and get a readout, I promise I will pass that along to you. One more thing I can tell you about the administration also announced today, Dana, the termination of the temporary protected status designation for Haiti. It's got an effective date that's actually been delayed 18 months. Now, the termination of that program that allows Haitians who couldn't return home after that devastating earthquake back in 2010 to stay here in the U.S. is the administration's commitment to repatriate communities that can return home safely rather than stay here in the U.S. But critics are howling. They say it's just another way the president is rewriting the nation's immigration laws. Let me share just a bit of what Chuck Schumer had to say in a very quick tweet today. He said, ending TPS for Haiti shows an utter lack of compassion and common sense from the Trump administration, although I would point out the T in TPS stands for temporary. Dana?
Indeed it does. All right, Kevin Cork, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Investigators discovering new remains from one of the 4 American soldiers killed in the African nation of Niger. What this discovery could reveal about the terror attack. And jury deliberations set to begin in the murder case that sparked a new national debate on illegal immigration and sanctuary cities.
Hi, I'm Ty Young. What if there was an investment strategy where your money was completely protected against market losses? You would go up with the stock market, your gains lock in, and when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. Literally, you go up with your money, never down, forwards and never backwards. What if that investment strategy actually existed? Good news, it does. Get your investor's kit and I'll personally explain on the DVD.
Inch Incision, a lifetime of standing tall.
This is Vicky. Vicky might not look like a crime-fighting superhero.
Well, with Ring, she is. Tell us how you did it, Vicky.
Okay. I was home alone at night when I got an alert from Ring there was somebody at my front door. Then I saw this guy, and I said, "Hey, you! Get off my property!"
Then Vicky shared that video with her neighbors, keeping everyone safe.
It was easy, really.
Typical superhero.
What are you doing at my front door? Get the f*** out of here!
Psoriatic arthritis tries to get in my way? Watch me.
I've tried lots of things for my joint pain. Now, watch me.
Think I'd give up showing these guys how it's done? Please.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis are changing the way they fight it. They're moving forward with Cosentyx. It's a different kind of targeted biologic. It's proven to help people find less joint pain and clearer skin. Don't use if you are allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting Cosentyx, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms of an infection, or if you have received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
With less joint pain, watch me.
For less joint pain and clearer skin, ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7. Channel 115.
Fox News alert. Closing arguments are expected to resume this hour in the trial of an illegal immigrant accused in the murder of Kate Steinle. She was shot on a San Francisco pier in 2015 by Jose Zarate. The defense admitted Zarate fired the fatal bullet, but claims it was an accident. The case drew widespread attention when President Trump made it a campaign issue after it was revealed Zarate had previously been deported 5 times. New developments in the Niger ambush that killed 4 U.S. service members last month. Investigators from the Army and the FBI have now recovered additional remains of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. He and 3 other soldiers died on a mission in the West African country. The Pentagon believes the attackers were local militants. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon with the latest. Jen, what more do we know about the death of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson?
Well, Dana, we've learned the remains of that ambush. The U.S. military issued the following statement today. On November 12, 2017, a joint U.S. Africa Command military investigation team discovered additional human remains at the site where Sergeant LaDavid T. Johnson's body was recovered following the October 4th attack. Today, we can confirm that the Armed Forces Medical Examiner has positively identified these remains as those of Sergeant Johnson. Johnson's family was informed yesterday. Reports from villagers suggest Johnson was shot in the head. His body was found a full 2 days after the attack. The Army Medical Examiner had recommended that his coffin not be open for viewing due to the condition of the remains. In an interview with ABC's Good Morning America, Johnson's widow had raised questions about whether it was her husband in the casket.
They won't show me a finger, a hand. I know my husband's body from head to toe, and they won't let me see anything. I don't know what's in that box. It could be empty for all I know, but I need to see my husband. I haven't seen him since he came home.
Sources tell me the initial military investigation has not yet found any sign Johnson was held captive or tortured, Dana.
Jennifer, on another story, what can you tell us about the new Afghan strategy announced from the Pentagon yesterday? It sounds interesting to me.
Well, after 16 years of war, the Pentagon and General John Nicholson, the top U.S. commander there, are trying to brand the Taliban insurgency, Dana, a narco-insurgency, to sell the strategy to war critics by linking it to the opioid epidemic in the U.S. and around the world.
At least $200 million of this opium industry goes into the Taliban's bank accounts, and this really pays for the insurgency.
American B-52 bombers dropped 6 500-pound bombs on these makeshift poppy processing labs in northern Helmand province. Even though most of the opium processing labs are based in Pakistan, Afghanistan is responsible for 85% of the world opium market, but only 4% of the heroin in the United States comes from Afghanistan. Dana?
That's really interesting. All right, Jennifer Griffin, thank you so much. A thank you from Syria to Russian President Vladimir Putin.
By your sacrifices and the sacrifices of the Syrian Arab army and its allies, many Syrians were able to return to their homes and villages.
What the meeting between Putin and Bashar al-Assad could mean for Americans. The Trump administration reversing another Obama-era policy. Federal regulators say they don't want to micromanage the internet. What could this mean for your bottom line?
Hi, I'm William Devane. You know, investing in gold is not about making $1 million. Gold is about protecting what you have for you and your family. And now you can, by taking an existing IRA and rolling it over to a Rosalind Capital precious metal-backed IRA. Like me, you've worked hard for your money, and you don't want to lose it now. So protect it against financial craziness by getting a Rosalind Capital precious metal-backed IRA. Just pick up the phone and call the folks at Rosalind. Now you can have an IRA backed by gold and silver that'll make you feel a heck of a lot safer. The IRA rollover is just another way Rosalind is helping you protect your assets.
Call Rosalind Capital now to get your free gold kit, free silver kit, and free IRA kit with smart ways you can transfer or roll over your IRA. Call 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900.
Get a free mesothelioma book from mesobook.com. People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we offer this free book.
Call toll-free at 1-800-745-BOOK.
You do all this research on the perfect car, then smash it into a tree. Your insurance company raises your rates. Maybe you should have done more research on them.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. Switch and you could save $782 on home and auto insurance. Call 1-888-481-3166 for a free quote today. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Patrick woke up with back pain, but he has work to do, so he took a leave. If he'd taken Tylenol, he'd be stopping for more pills right now. Only Aleve has the strength to stop tough pain for up to 12 hours with just one pill. Aleve, all day strong.
'Tis the season to shop. So how do big retail outlets plan to battle the online giants? The CEO of BJ's Wholesale, Chris Baldwin, in a Your World exclusive tonight.
Liberty Mutual saved us almost $800 when we switched our auto and home insurance.
With Liberty, we could afford a real babysitter instead of your brother. Oh, that's my robe.
Is it?
When you switch to Liberty Mutual, you could save $782 on auto and home insurance and still get great coverage for you and your family. Call 1-844-257-7382 for a free quote today. You could save $782 when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, we are large enough to take on big corporations. Let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-500-1895. That's 1-800-500-1895.
My dad's grandma's. Aunt Stacy!
What are the reasons you care for your heart? Cunol CoQ10, with 3 times better absorption, has the #1 cardiologist recommended form of CoQ10 to support heart health. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
President Trump speaking earlier today with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the situation in Syria. The phone call comes a day after Putin met with Syrian President Assad about the ongoing war in that country. Senator John McCain responded to the call, tweeting, "This demonstrates yet again the president mistakenly believes the U.S. and Russia share interests, and it's further evidence we desperately need a strategy for Syria." Joining me now are Michael Meehan, President and CEO of Squared Communications, and Matt Schlapp, Chairman of the American Conservative Union. We're going to start with this and then get to some fun after that. Matt, this comes after Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador, called Russia's shameful after it vetoed a UN inquiry into Syria chemical attacks. And then just yesterday, even Iran was claiming victory, that it had destroyed ISIS. So everybody wants victory, and actually it seems like the only one that really came out on top is Assad.
Yeah, I mean, I have been open to this idea that it makes sense for the American government and for President Trump to try to have a working relationship with Vladimir Putin. But the idea that he's pulling together these kind of roguish world leaders, from Assad to the head of the Turkish government to Iran, it's just a rogues gallery. And, you know, I think what President Trump ought to tell Vladimir Putin is that it's good that we have really beaten back ISIS, but it's time for Assad to go.
And Michael, obviously we do need cooperation on an international level, especially when it comes to counterterrorism measures. We do share some concerns there, obviously. Anything that you thought of this morning after that call?
Well, I think Ambassador Haley at the UN had it right, is that the UN is the place to pull this together. I agree with Matt. You can't do this in piecemeal with rogue nations. You got to leverage the power of the UN, and I agree with the ambassador.
What was interesting was that the Wall Street Journal actually had a review this weekend that the country doing the best in the Middle East when it comes to holding on to democratic institutions is Iraq. But that for another day, because I asked you two to come with a little Thanksgiving special, and I love your answer, so I want to get to it. I asked you both to tell me what you think the Republicans and the Democrats should be most grateful for as we head into Thanksgiving. And Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, of course, me, like all Republicans, we're thankful for the Electoral College. And the gift that keeps on giving is Hillary Clinton, who keeps on talking. Let's hope that keeps continuing. I love the fact that she's flirting with the idea of running for office again. I like that one. And, of course, the most important one, because it affects people's lives, is the idea that our economy is growing at a rapid clip of 3%. That's good for America, and also happens to be great for Donald Trump.
Okay, so next we'll go over to you, Michael, for what do you think Democrats should be grateful for?
Well, clearly the elections 2 weeks ago showed that people are mad. They're showing out in big numbers, electing first-time candidates from Seattle to Maine to Georgia, taking 2 governorships. It's a big election win, number 1. 2 is Donald Trump, a president at 38%, has been very useful to helping the Democrats pick up the pieces from last year's election. And then the third is Alabama. If I sat on this set a year ago, you would have laughed at me if I said the Democratic Senate candidate is within 10 points of picking up a seat that Jeff Sessions has vacated. You would have laughed me off the set.
I would have laughed you off the set. That would have been a strong laugh. All right, and then before I let you go, I can't let this go. Matt, what do you think Democrats should be grateful for?
All right, this is dangerous, but I agree with Michael. Alabama, it's given them all kinds of good things. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, which led to a Bob Mueller investigation, and now potentially picking up a Senate seat. And I got to go to the old standbys. The liberal media, which is being thinned out with all these scandals, and also liberal judges who just continue to overturn Trump decisions and make the politics for conservatives stronger and stronger.
And Michael, since we're being bipartisan here, Republicans should be grateful for what?
Well, unified government with a strong economy and the fact that we haven't started a new war, clearly number 1. Number 2 is that there are 3 Republicans in the U.S. Senate that will stop dumb and unpopular ideas. Rolling back Obamacare, passing tax cuts, tax breaks for corporations is also on the table. And then the last one is that the president has only pardoned 2 turkeys so far. That's the most useful thing.
So 2 turkeys, I get it. I see what you did there. All right, well, I wish you both a very happy Thanksgiving. The Daily Briefing appreciates you coming on.
Thanks,
Dana. Happy
Michael Meehan and Matt Schlapp, thanks very much. CBS News and PBS both firing Charlie Rose after 8 women came forward accusing him of sexual misconduct. So what would happen to Democratic lawmakers like Senator Al Franken and Congressman John Conyers, who are facing the same accusations?
Use this as a time, as a tipping point, if you will, to address the issue overall of inappropriate conduct in the workplace, the lack of respect, the diminishment of women, pushing women aside.
I would like to take a moment to address my fellow veterans, because I know there are so many of you who have served your country honorably, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, or 32 years like myself. One of the benefits that we as a country give you as a veteran is your eligibility for a VA loan. Not 80%, but 100% the value of your home, and that's what you can get at New Day USA.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-647-6712. It's a new day for veterans who need money for their family. Home values are going up, and home equity lending is back.
That's me.
New Day USA has helped thousands of veterans close in as little as 30 days through their valuable VA home loan.
That's me.
Cash to pay credit cards, cash for retirement, or cash just to put in the bank. It's a new day in lending, and for veterans who need money, that can mean a lot.
That's me.
Call New Day USA at 1-844-647-6712.
When you're looking for answers, it's good to have help, because the right information at the right time may make all the difference. At Humana, we know that's especially true when you're looking for a Medicare supplement insurance plan. That's why we're offering this fact-filled guide, 7 things every Medicare supplement should have. And it's yours free just for calling 1-888-309-7423. You see, Medicare covers only about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. That's why so many people purchase Medicare supplement insurance plans like those offered by Humana. They're designed to help you save money and pay some of the costs Medicare doesn't. Depending on the Medicare supplement plan you select, you could have no deductibles or copayments for doctor visits, hospital stays, emergency care, and more. You can keep the doctors you have now, ones you know and trust, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can get medical care anywhere in the country, even when you're traveling. With Humana, you get a competitive monthly premium and personalized service from a healthcare partner working to make healthcare simpler and easier for you. You can choose from a wide range of standardized plans. Each one is designed to work seamlessly with Medicare and help save you money. So how do you find the plan that's right for you, one that fits your needs and your budget? Call Humana now at 1-888-309-7423. That's 1-888-309-7423. For this free guide, it's just one of the ways that Humana is making healthcare simpler. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free and there's no obligation. You know Medicare won't cover all your medical costs, so call now and see why a Medicare supplement plan from a company like Humana just might be the answer.
My son's going to be buried in Arlington. I was wondering if you guys could come with me.
I haven't seen these men in decades.
Could you resist a man in this uniform?
I don't think I could.
You're there for your brothers. That's all that really matters.
Last Flag Flying. Rated R. November 22nd.
When you've been making delicious natural cheese for over 100 years like Kraft has, you'll learn a lot about what people want.
Honey, do we have like a super creamy cheese with taco spice already in it? Oh, thanks.
Bon appetit cheese.
Okay.
Fox News alert, both CBS and PBS firing Charlie Rose just one day after 8 women came forward to the Washington Post to say he made sexual advances toward them in the workplace. Eric Shawn is following this for us. How did the networks come to this decision so quickly?
Well, Dana, apparently it was the weight of the 8 women's allegations. And the Washington Post reporter who broke the story, she says her inbox is now flooded with more women who are coming forward. You know, at 75 years old, Charlie Rose is a television news icon. He was axed by CBS. His interview program ended at PBS, all in the wake of the allegations of more sexual harassment that the women charged fell on deaf ears when they complained. And you know, the stories are now familiar. Interns and young female staff members saying in his case, Rose routinely hit on them or reacted inappropriately by groping them, touching them, walking nude in front of them, and even engaging in physical and emotional abuse. In a statement, CBS President David Rhodes wrote in a staff memo, quote, "Despite Charlie's important journalistic contribution to our news division, there is absolutely nothing more important in this or any organization than ensuring a safe, professional workplace, a supportive environment where people feel they can do their best work. We need to be such a place. I've often heard that things used to be different, and no one may be able to correct the past, but what may have once been accepted should not ever have been acceptable." This morning, before he was fired, Rose's CBS News colleagues, Norah O'Donnell and Gayle King, said they were rocked and reeling from this and that they have a heavy heart for someone who has been so respected.
This will be investigated. This has to end. This behavior is wrong, period.
I am not okay. After reading that article in the Post, it was deeply disturbing, troubling, and painful for me to read. That said, I think we have to make this matter to women.
Rose has been contrite and apologetic, saying over the decades in journalism he's been an advocate for women, and he is aware now of the pain caused by such conduct. In a statement, he said in part, quote, "It is essential that these women know I hear them and that I deeply apologize for my inappropriate behavior. I am greatly embarrassed. I have behaved insensitively at times, and I have accepted responsibility for that, though I do not believe that all these allegations are accurate," he said. "I always felt that I was pursuing shared feelings, even though I now realize I was mistaken." Rose was seen walking on a Manhattan street, and when asked about the wrongdoings, he replied, "It's not wrongdoings." His show on PBS, by the way, started back in 1991 and has run for 26 years. Dana?
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. A brand new ad for Democrat Doug Jones in his Alabama Senate race against Roy Moore, and it features quotes from people like Ivanka Trump and Jeff Sessions, criticizing Moore over the sexual misconduct allegations against him. Jonathan Seri is live in Birmingham, Alabama. Jonathan.
Hi, Dana. Well, as a Democrat running in a solidly red state, Doug Jones is trying to reach out to moderate Republican voters, and those are apparently the very people that this ad is trying to target. It features quotes from prominent Republicans suggesting that they believe the accusers of Roy Moore. Watch.
Conservative voices, putting children and women over party, doing what's right.
The ad ends with a quote from Ivanka Trump saying there's a special place in hell for people who prey on children. But the Moore campaign is fighting back, gathering statements from witnesses to refute the allegations of some of his accusers including Beverly Nelson, seen here with attorney Gloria Allred. Nelson claims when she was 16, Moore offered her a ride home from the restaurant where she worked and then allegedly assaulted her in his car. The Moore campaign issued a press release quoting Renee Chavera, a former customer at the restaurant, saying, "When I heard Beverly Beverly Nelson's story, the first thing that stuck out to me was that I don't remember Roy Moore ever coming into the restaurant. I also don't remember her working there. The campaign also quotes former employees at the Gadsden Mall to debunk a report in the New Yorker suggesting Moore had been banned from the shopping center because of unwanted contact with teenage girls. Former mall manager Barnes Boyle says, "We did have written reports and things. To my knowledge, he was not banned from the mall." And today, Roy Moore picked up a key endorsement, this coming from the Asian American GOP Coalition, the organization issuing a statement saying, quote, "His victory of this election is crucial to secure the president's America First agenda." Dana?
All right, Jonathan Seri, thank you for that. Now to the Democratic lawmakers facing sexual harassment allegations, Senator Al Franken and Congressman John Conyers on what should happen to them. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi weighing in on Conyers saying, quote, "As I have said before, any credible allegation of sexual harassment must be investigated by the Ethics Committee." Joining me now, Marianne Marsh, she's principal at Dewey Square Group. I'm glad to have you on today because I wanted to talk about what it must be like to have gone through all of the things that happened in the second term of the Clinton administration with the Lewinsky scandal to today, where you have Senator Gillibrand suggesting, amongst others, that with the standards of today, Bill Clinton should have resigned. So then you get to these current allegations against Franken and Conyers, and there's mixed messages. Where do you see things?
Well, I mean, it's a watershed moment, obviously, Dana, and what happened 20 and 25 years ago has changed from 25 minutes ago. I mean, look at what's happened with Charlie Rose. That story hasn't even been out 24 hours, and he's been fired by CBS and PBS, as it should be. There are no sacred cows anymore when it comes to sexual abuse, and that's how it should be as well. I think what is troubling at this point, however, is to listen to Barbara Comstock, who's working with Jackie Spears on a piece of legislation, as they should be, to address this matter. But who knows how long that's going to take. Right. In the private sector, you get fired, period, end of sentence. And that should happen. In Congress and in politics, all we have is political pressure and elections. So I think the bare minimum that Congress needs to do today is to release the names of any current member of Congress or the Senate who's party to one of these settlements. You're a public servant. You represent the public. You are accountable to the public, and public funds were used. Everyone should know that, so that they at least can take that into consideration with an election that's only 11 months away.
You know what I've been thinking about? Just, I've done communications before I switched careers and have this job now. But yes, it's true that in the private sector, the consequences can come quick. But it seems to be only after one of these big news stories is released. And so you have to wonder, this movement, I guess that we're seeing, the so-called Me Too movement, it's actually pushing reporters to look for things, and then the companies are asking or are acting. But they've known about these inquiries for a long time now at some of these PR departments. Like, why don't they take action before it actually becomes news?
And that is true of so many things, and that is what's so frustrating here, is that more often than not, in politics and business and life, people are ahead of the people who are in power every single time. And now, finally, decades too late, frankly, the issue of sexual abuse is being addressed. And a lot of women, I mean, the list of women I know who haven't been subjected to this is non-existent. And many careers and lives have been changed because of it.
But
so finally, the day's here.
What do you think that, I guess if you're a partisan or if you support a party, what should you do if the person like Conyers denies the allegations altogether? Should you just throw up your hands and say, I guess there's nothing more to be learned here?
No. I mean, first of all, this is about right or wrong, not right or left. Everyone should agree on this. And you either did it or you didn't. And if you did, there should be consequences, including losing your job. And in this case, it is as a congressman in the House of Representatives or a United States senator. And that's why there does need to be a mechanism. In the interim, though, however, the public pressure that can be brought to bear on elected officials should be withering, and there should be no exceptions. And I think this is where you see what's going on in Alabama. Everyone says that's up to Alabama voters, but the consequences of Roy Moore, if he gets elected, I think in terms of partisan politics here, it is very hard for Republicans after this to continue to be the party of family values.
Or the Democrats say that the Republicans have a war on women. I mean, there's nobody's pure in this situation. Marianne March.
Nobody. You're right, every time.
I've got to run. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Dana. Happy Thanksgiving.
So do you have questions about the tax bill and how the changes could affect your personal taxes? Congressman and certified public accountant Jim Renacci is here to answer your questions.
The hardworking, often middle class, are going to find themselves not able to deduct the state income tax, and it's going to be a tax increase, particularly in New York, New Jersey, and California, but it's wrong in all 50 states.
Did you know that silver is considered one of the world's most useful commodities, second only to oil? You could invest in an oil field, or you can buy silver, the world's miracle metal. With endless uses in green energy, electronics, and medicine, discover why the experts say silver is the new oil.
Silver is actually my favorite investment, particularly at this price.
I think silver is going to $200 an ounce. I love silver.
Call Lear Capital at 1-800-885-6000 to get this special report, Vanishing Silver, and free Experts DVD. Discover why Rich Dad Poor Dad's best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki loves silver, and why these experts see silver as a win-win investment. The first 50 callers also get our Precious Metals IRA Transfer Guide and up to $600 in free gold or silver. This offer ends soon. Call 1-800-885-6000. 1-800-885-6000. That's 1-800-885-6000. Call now.
I'm Duke Diver, manager of this resort community. I am Leo McKay.
This Friday,
Did you move to Villa Capri just to piss me off?
I wonder if you could lift me like that. No matter what your age.
I got it.
You don't got it.
All right, take it. Take it.
Boys will be boys.
This is war.
Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, Rene Russo.
Are you friends with Duke Diver?
Friend is a very strong word.
Just getting started. Rated PG-13. In theaters Friday.
I enjoy the fresher things in life. Fresh towels, fresh soaps, and of course, TripAdvisor's freshest, lowest prices. So, if you're anything like me, you'll want to check TripAdvisor. We now instantly compare prices from over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Go on, try something fresh. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
I have fantastic news for fellow veterans who need money for your family and home. There's a powerful VA benefit that veterans have earned, but many don't even know about it. It's the VA Home Loan Benefit. As a veteran, you're eligible to apply for a refinance loan for up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80% like other loans. That's 100% of what your home is worth today, which could mean you're sitting on a reserve that, if turned into cash, could mean real financial security. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgage, consolidate your high-rate credit card debt, get cash, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. New Day will even pay for your appraisal, worth up to $500 or more. So if you need money to take care of your family, use the valuable VA home loan benefit you've earned with your service. Call New Day USA.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-809-1392.
Shepard Smith on the Fox News deck. Representatives for the Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore set to hold a news conference at the